Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Robert Rivera with Who's On First, and I brought you another special guest. His name is Rob Cruz.
How you doing, everybody out there on Who's On First? My name is Rob Cruz, and I am, it's hard to say what I am, but I call myself a player development specialist. I specialize in player development, the whole player. So in my approach to teaching, we deal with the whole person,
All right, so that's where you got with this complete game I see on your shirt there.
the complete game. That's what
The
it's always been
complete
about.
game. I see a lot of your stuff on Facebook,
Mhm.
and I'm seeing it's really positive. I like a lot of the stuff you're saying. Who do you basically go after? Who's the people that come to you?
I work with everybody. I mean, sometimes, sometimes, they say your brand is who they say you are.
Right.
My objective is to bring everybody a message, parents, coaches, players, if we work hard, if we get the right information. So my thing is let's get the right information to the coaches and the parents. But here's my
Okay.
message. If you think it's for you, let's go. If you don't, well then find someone that has a message that meets you where you are.
All right. So who introduced you to the game of baseball?
I was outside in front of my building in New York, and somebody threw a bat away in the garbage. It was a broken bat, a broken wooden bat. Oh, a bat. We took the bat out of the garbage can, and we just started hitting cans. Cans were on the ground. You pick the can up and you just start swinging and hitting the can, seeing how far you hit the can. And I had to be about at least 4 or 5 years old, and I remember that clear as day.
Right.
Broken bat. It was a brown cracked bat, and that was my earliest like the game of like me actually participating in it.
Okay.
But I mean, it was a game to me. It wasn't organized. It wasn't like Sandlot. But then
Right.
then we moved, and my mom signed me up for Little League. I played on a team called the Warriors.
Okay.
We had red uniforms, and my coach's name was Frank. And I don't really have a whole lot of memories of games. I have no memories of any game, whether I got hits or whether I didn't get hits. I have no memory of any of that.
It's funny. I have a similar story with the cracked bat, but
Mhm.
we found the cracked bat in a schoolyard, and it
Yeah.
was it was cracked. It was nice split. I said we could fix it, and then we were on the way to the house. I said I have an idea, and I put some nails in. The phrase came up one day. Hit it on the nails. Hit it on the nails. It
Yeah.
was because if you hit it on the side, you're gonna blow up the bat. So make
We
sure
go
that
great,
the
right.
nails. Where was you in New York? Where did you live in New York?
This was in Mount Vernon. I was born in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
And then when I turned like, I think I must have been about 5 or 6, we moved to New Rochelle, which is
Okay.
like, the next town up.
All right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just when you sit there and you say a young man with a broken bat hitting cans. We used to hit rocks with
Mhm.
wiffle ball bats, with broomsticks. Compared to the equipment that we have today,
Yep. It's different.
where does your love of the game, the game of baseball, what is that love for you?
My neighborhood that I grew up in, we were known as the baseball block. I mean, we played all the sports like any other kids would do. Like if it's basketball season, we playing basketball. If it's football season, we outside playing tackle.
Yeah. Right. Right.
With a Nerf ball. Playing in the street. We're playing in the street. The mailbox is the touchdown, and the stop sign on the other side, that's the touchdown. But it was something about the game of baseball for our neighborhood. We really got into it. Like we really got into it a little differently. I think baseball, because the statistics are so special. You go down to the corner store, you get some baseball cards. You take your Yankees out, take your Mets out, put them to the side. Everybody else, it don't matter. Like it don't matter if it's the Phillies. They ain't Yankees and they ain't Mets, right? So, right, and then we look on the back of the card, and you get to see how many years this guy played on the same team. Back then, you may have a guy that may have 10, 15 years on the same team with all the line of stats.
Right.
Now guys move around a lot. I'm sure the back of the baseball card looks different now because
Right.
everybody moves around. But back then, we always looked at the stats, the home runs, the RBIs. Did he get better this year? Did he get worse this year? Then we could see how good this player is because there was no I didn't have cable. Nobody on my block had cable, so we could only watch the Yankees or the Mets, and we only got to see the other teams on like Saturdays. It was like game of the week, or unless you watch This Week in Baseball on Saturdays or something like that, you get to see the other teams and see who's good.
That's right. This Week in Baseball.
Yeah, right. Remember that? The Twib notes and everything.
Headlines and highlights coming up next on This Week in Baseball.
Yeah, the Twib notes.
That guy's voice, man. I can't think of his name, but his voice.
Yeah.
It's the God for us.
We used to look at that. I was watching wrestling and Ebony Costello and there's Tarzan.
Speaking of Abbott and Costello, when I saw the show on Who's On First, as the name of your show, It
Yes.
reminds me of the classic.
I'm asking you, what's the guy's name on first base?
Oh, no, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
One base at a time now.
Who's on first with Abbott Costello? And, you know, they're in the Baseball Hall of Fame because of that.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
so for my love of the game, and I consider myself a baseball purist because I followed the stats. I did whatever a baseball guy would do growing up.
Mhm.
Like what I could afford, I did it. We would mimic swings like any other kids. The love is the love. Like you can't fake that.
Right,
You either love the game or you don't.
right.
So when I first went to Cooperstown, it's funny. I first went to Cooperstown. It was special for me because I couldn't believe I was in Cooperstown, and I'm like, yo, this is Cooperstown.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
You know, and to be able to give it back and teach it, that and I don't take that lightly. That's a responsibility that I've got to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. I do my research. I'm current. I'm in the modern times, and I have people around me that keep me sharp. You know, iron sharp as iron.
One of the things that I really enjoyed was a young lady you were working with, and she was killing the ball.
We're fast. We're fast. Good. Time with it. On time with it. Good. Fast. Turn it, drive it. Good. Don't work too hard. You're working way too hard. You're already strong. You don't got to swing harder. Because you're going to swing harder, you're going to get weaker. Got it? Just give me 85%. Here we go. 85. 85. That's all we need. 85. 85%. 80. That's it. Smooth. Fluid. Do it again. 85. 85. There it is. That's all we need. You're going to be so much more consistent at 85%. You start swinging at 120%, now we got problems. So I want you to be, I'd rather you be in control of 85% than to not be in control of 120%. It's like driving a car. I'm driving a car too fast, less control. I'm driving a car at a certain speed, more control of it. Drive the car under control, stop speeding. 85, Jay. Fast, good take, fast. 85, there it is, right there. Keep him there. Yep. High finish. There's the high finish. Don't overswing. There you go, jumping up there again. Let's get it. Fast. There it is, nice job.
She hit that ball so hard, I thought it was gonna explode. And I'm like, wow, this girl's got a vicious swing. And and then you went back and you said, give me 85%. That really, I was like, wow, I've never heard a coach say that.
We're coaching a different kid now. The players are so much stronger, but just because you have the capacity to be really strong doesn't mean I have to use all 100% of my actual strength.
Right.
Because it's about how much I can control. Just because my car can go 220 doesn't mean I can control it at 220.
Right.
So I drive it at a speed that's efficient and I can move and control it versus I'm overswinging, I lose control. Same thing happens in hitting. Same thing happens in throwing. So I try to help my kids find that place. So I ask them the golden question, like, hey, what was that last swing? And they'll say, that was, I don't know, I say, was it 90, 100, or 120? And they'll say, well, that was about 90. I'm like, oh, really? And I know it was like 120, but to them, it was to her or to him, it was 90. All right. So they give me 70 because if that's 90 to you, then give me 70. I know it's 120,
Right.
but to you, it's 90. So give me 70.
Right.
Now she's working at 70%, which is really 90%. She has more accuracy with her barrel. She's not missing balls, fouling balls off, rolling balls over, slicing balls. Turn it. Yep. Work it out. We're short. Two. Yes. Love that. Fast. Nice. Pitcher made a great pitch. If it's not your pitch or the one you wanted in that less than 2 strike count,
I don't want to swing.
you can,
Yeah.
but you don't have to.
I mean, I know which one I want.
In that count, I gotta know what I want in that situation, and I gotta look for what I'm gonna get. I can't order a cheeseburger from Domino's. They don't have that.
Yeah.
If she's not throwing that, I can't look for it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding the player because I'm not in their body. I don't know what they're experiencing. But with my experience, I can kind of get a sense of, because I've seen it so many times. This is what's going on. Let's address it in the mind first.
All right. So now, what is one of the hardest things you teach your players? Like, what is one of the hardest things that you see them? A lot of these guys have a hard time grasping.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I would say understanding when the front foot needs to get down, the timing aspect of it. You know, some people they may know when it needs to get down, but because in baseball and softball, every pitch was different velocities, pitchers can throw a curve, different speeds, change ups. I got to be able to time it, you know, and that's a pretty big variable. That's a pretty huge variable for young hitters, even older hitters.
What is the one thing that is hard to teach these kids on the mental side of it?
The mental game is something that I pride myself. I feel like that's my thing. So many people want to have input on the swing. I guess it's this thing. Like the dad goes out with the son, and they go out to the cage, and the dad is this expert on the swing, and he's like, "No, you got to get your elbow up." I find that hilarious. But the one thing about swings is that they can all be different. Nobody's right. We're not right. We're all trying to find, hey, what works for this player. So when I really started to get good, I realized that I got to learn how to coach to the player. This is the hard part. This is the mental part. Less than two. Good. Did you want that? Was that what you wanted? Yeah? Which one? Yes?
Yes, I want.
So if you got what you wanted, you got to crush it. If I get what I want, I have to crush it. It's what I wanted. Less than two. Good. Good take. Less than two. Turn it. Good. D. No ground balls. No ground balls. 2 strikes. 2. Good take. That's nice. 2 strikes. 2. Yes. But your original question was the mental game, and I think the mental game is because it's 80%. Hitting is 80%, but we've decided we're going to focus on the 20%, which is the swing, and just ignore the mental game. The only mental game advice we ever tell our kids is relax. Okay, but how do I relax? How? You know, so
Just relax.
I mean, that's the only thing that we say. Relax up there. Have fun. Like, you know, those are kind of mental game cues. It's stressful though.
Yeah. I tell my son when he was swimming, I'm not asking for a gold medal. I'm not asking for whatever place. All I ask is you give me effort. Everything that you've learned in practice, you need to apply it today.
Mm-hmm.
You've already won your medals.
Mm-hmm.
You're here to collect them. That's it. He would come out of that pool and he'd be, we like that. I came in dead last. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care if you come in 9th in an 8-man race. I don't care. But I saw you give me 110%. I saw you the way you came out that pool. For me, I'm like, that's great. Yeah, for me, it's an applause. For me, it's about counting wins. You can lose 100 times and win once, but I'm only going to keep on watching that win. I like that win. That was my favorite one. Baseball is the game that you will lose. You will lose, and you will lose a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming back from those losses, okay? Winning that next pitch, winning that next at bat. I made an error. The next ball that is hit to me is not going to be an error.
Yep.
It's bouncing back from that. When you're working with these kids, I mean, what kind of parents are you dealing with? Because I get a lot of complaints about parents and umpires and everything. And some of these parents are like, hey, my kid's the best thing since sliced bread. And you want to tell them, listen, your kid needs a soccer ball. That's what he needs.
So I want to tie my reply into the last thing you talked about.
Okay.
With the answer to this, because I wanted to reply regarding like everybody's has different perspectives on success, right? We've taken success and we've made it a destination, and then we forget to enjoy the process. Our parents are the ones who shape our perspectives on what success really is. Because for someone, success could be you got to marry the right person, you got to get the right job, you got to drive the right car, you got to live in the right neighborhood. You're successful. And then for someone else, success may be, I need you to have a relationship with God. I need you to be a good person. I need you to, and not that all those things can't be true.
Right.
But we all come from different households where certain things were stressed more than others. For example, if my child, and this is a true story, if my son, his mom called his phone when he was like maybe 14, 15, he didn't pick it up. So she calls me and goes, he's not picking up his phone. Now I already know, like if I call that phone and you don't pick it up on the first ring, my next call is to the cell phone company and I'm shutting you down. He knows that. So when I call, he picks it up on the first round. You get it? So every parent, like you set the tone at 3 with candy and ice cream and video game time, and you set the tone. So it comes down to who's raising who.
Right.
So when you see these kids out here, they're a reflection of who their parents have raised them to be and who they're brought them up to be in a lot of cases. Obviously, 2 kids can grow up in the same house and they're like, how'd that one turn out that way?
Yeah, and the other one turned out the other way,
right? Obviously there's cases where that happens, but for the most part, you're putting into that kid what you're putting into them, or you're not putting that into that kid. And baseball is the kind of sport. First of all, baseball is the only sport where the coach wears the uniform that the players wear. People overlook that, but people don't understand why that is. Why is he dressed like he's playing? Because when baseball was created, coach wasn't a title. Coach was a position. I could be the coach and still insert myself into the lineup and pinch run and pinch hit. You playing first, you playing third, you're coaching today. Tomorrow, hey, you're going to coach tomorrow. I know you coached yesterday, but you're going to play today. Like, you're going to be on the field. It was a position.
Okay.
It should be that way, though.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm a part of the team in that way. My role just happens to be, I'm the coach today. And most people don't understand that. And the other thing about baseball people don't understand, or don't know, or don't realize, is that it's the only sport where the defense controls the ball.
That's right.
It's the only sport.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain type of decorum. There's a certain type of way you go about playing the game that's different than the other sports. There's a certain respect that we assume that you will want to have when you play the game of baseball. We say, oh, play the game. He plays the game the right way.
Right.
A Derek Jeter versus, I'm not going to try naming names, but
yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
It didn't start out as a classy sport. It started out as a bad boy sport, but then it became the buttoned up collars,
right?
The belts, the pristine uniform, and then it turned into something. Obviously, as all things do, it evolved into what it evolved in. We've never gotten away from the tradition of we're going to play the game the right way. And then we call the other guys. We call those guys. Oh, yeah, that guy's a bad attitude.
Yeah, I mean, now we talk about a bad attitude. You get a player and he has the 5 tools. He has them down pat, but he has a bad attitude. Do you think that's a handicap for him?
It's a locker room issue because it's not an individual sport. If you want to have an attitude, go play an individual. Go play golf or tennis because all you got to do is deal with you.
That's true.
When you're going to affect the rest of my team, and you representing me as a coach, I have value. So my value system, my core values, I look for that in players I want on my team. And if I do feel like this kid is so good, I got to take this kid. I know he's a problem, but because in my mind, I think I can change him. I can fix him.
I can fix him.
In our mind, we think we can. Sometimes
I've been there.
Sometimes we can, though.
I've been there.
Sometimes it's like, this guy he's the problem.
You need 9 guys that can gel.
It's a development of character along the way. It's not just the game. It's just other things that we're developing with these kids. It's character. It's mannerisms. Okay, we're going to stay in a hotel. Some of you guys have never even been to a hotel without your parents. These are going to be the ground rules. Lights out at this time. There's no loud noises in the rooms. You can't be roaming the hall. One time I'm staying in Philly at a hotel with some other teams, and the people called me at the hotel. Hey, there's some guys on the roof. The roof? That ain't my team. What they doing on the roof?
It's the way it should be. You have to be able to maintain a level of order and composure and keep your team in check. So I mean, you have this company, Complete Game. This is your baby. Give me your mission statement. What's your mission statement with Complete Game?
I don't really have a mission statement, but I will tell you that, and I've never even thought that I would need one. I do know what my core values are, but what I would say is that Complete Game is it's never been a building. It's always been a living, breathing, changing, evolving, adapting organism that changes to what the athlete needs, what the coach needs, and what the parent needs. And then I have different things and programs underneath Complete Game that address different things that my athletes and my families and coaches that I consult colleges that I consult need, whether it's technology, whether it's recruiting, whether it's vision training, all the different things that make that addressing the needs of an athlete. Advice. I don't know what to do in that area. I got like 4 or 5 people somewhere that I could send you to. Where you live? You live in Long Island? I got somebody over here. I always wanted to be that resource because I felt like education is empowerment.
If I worked out with you, let's say
Yeah.
I'm a young kid, I'm 14 years old, and you
Yeah.
only had 20 minutes with me. And what were the top 3 things would you teach me?
Well, first of all, I have to see what you're already doing. Because the one thing I'm not going to do is assume what you need. So there's an evaluation period first. And maybe if I only had 20, I would do a 5-minute evaluation. Hey, let's take about 4 or 5 swings. Let's take a couple of throws. Because I got to see where you're at first.
I mean, so what are you looking for?
I'm really looking for athleticism, body control, and body awareness. Some people don't even have that. So if you got that, then I'm like, okay, well, this is somebody that I can teach. And then after I start showing you a couple things, can you pick it up in 1 or 2 seconds? Or are you just not in control of your body and your limbs in space? It's going to take some time. But I think I have enough experience to be able to evaluate a player just off when they walk in the door, how they walk, their gait. That's an athlete. That's not an athlete. You know what I'm saying? That's just the facts.
I've had a couple buddies of mine that said, "Hey, Rob, what do you think of this kid?" And as soon as they walk out of the car, I'm like, It's got great forearms, nice hands, great shoulders, about 6'1", looks like a tank. Lazy." They said lazy. I said, yeah, he comes out.
Yep.
He's grabbing his bag.
You can see it.
I wish there was a boardwalk on this beach, huh?
Yeah, and I turned around, I was like, lazy.
You know what's funny? I had that reminds me of a story that I had. I had a running joke with my one of my boys. He was one of my assistant coaches when I had my baseball teams. We had a running joke that we made cuts in the parking lot. Like we made cuts already. But it was just this little joke, but it wasn't a joke, but it kind of was. So there was this kid, I never forget. There was this kid who came to one of my tryouts, and everybody was like, "Why'd you take that kid?" So this kid, he didn't play baseball in high school. He played lacrosse in high school. So if you play lacrosse, there's 2 things I know. You're athletic, you're fast, and you're a competitor, and you are tough.
Tough. I'm gonna hold you on that tough thing. Because let me tell you something. I seen some of these games, man, and you lacrosse players, you guys are Billy badasses. Because I tell you, them sticks and them little gloves and all you guys, these little thin little shoulder pads, and you guys are getting whacked. Yeah.
They're tough.
And I'm like,
so he came out of that ecosystem, and then the reason why I took him is because he threw sidearm. He was a pitcher, and I said, "I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't nobody hitting that. I don't care who it is. If we bring this dude in to face anybody, it's a wrap. They ain't gonna be able to hit it." I threw him in a game against a college team. He shut these guys down for 5 innings.
Wow.
He was coming from sidearm, like from down low.
Yeah.
And all the right-handed batters didn't have a chance. I knew it. I was like, that's why I took him. I think also, because we were talking about parents earlier, right? It's the parents that push, but they know how to push. It's reciprocal in the fact that those kids really want to be pushed. Because then you have the other side of the coin where you have the parents who are like, well, I'm not going to push them. Well, your kid ain't going to make it. You got to find that. It's like putting your foot on the gas pedal. Can't put it down all the way down.
What do you do next?
Floor it?
Yes. No!
You can't touch it too lightly, but you got to know your kid.
It's the same thing with my kids. I do the same thing. I'm like, hey, what are you doing with this? You want to be an artist. You want to be a rock and roller. You want to be a fireman. Okay. We buy a fireman? Okay, no problem.
Shortstops, you guys got to get there.
Now, do you work with pitchers, or you're hitters or fielders?
So,
or what do you do?
So I actually have a background of coaching everything because I studied biomechanics from like 98 to I still do. But I was doing biomechanics back when they laughed at the biomechanics people.
Okay.
Now everything that they talk about is all biomechanics.
Oh,
But
wow.
back then they were laughing at us. And the other thing is that I learned how to teach. I had someone that was able to that helped me to learn how to effectively communicate because the hitting is it's less about what you know, but more about what you can effectively communicate. A lot of people that know their stuff, but nobody wants to hear you say it because you're annoying or you don't present it the right way. You have a negative delivery.
Right, negative delivery. What Rob is talking about is something that I've think about a year ago. I finally learned, And I learned my communication skills are not there. And I was a violent communicator. And I didn't even realize it. And it was one of those things that you had to step back. So if you're coaching, guys, you coaches out there, you have to know yourself also, not just the kid, but you have to know how to be effective with those kids and how to be able to communicate with those kids. I love Pete Rose. Pete Rose, one of my favorite players, and he said there's only 3 ways to coach a person. He's like, some you have to hug, some you got to kick in the behind, and some you have to leave alone. Mm-hmm. And he said, but what makes you a good coach is to distinguish when to do it. Okay. So it was one of those deals that I was like, wow, there's times that you got to kick him in the behind. You're right. And there's times you just got to leave him alone. And sometimes you got to hug him. So, I mean, I think a lot of the problems that we're having with the younger kids now is the communication. We're not communicating with them the way we need to, or interacting with them the way they want to, so they would understand. So where I say, hey, he's got a hitch, and they look at you and go, what's a hitch? You know what I mean? He's got a hitch. Well, you know what? Hey, you're taking your hands from here and you're dropping them. To me, that's a hitch. To you, it's another thing. And I tell you one, Rob, that's confusing me when they say, hey, he's a GOAT. And I'm sitting there going, see,
a GOAT? There's
GOAT.
only the GOAT. You can only be the GOAT.
I'm 52 years old. So when you say GOAT, I'm thinking, that guy's an idiot.
Right.
Right.
But you know what happens though? People change. The definitions of things change over time.
I'm the GOAT, the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Because GOAT for us is like the GOAT.
Yeah. Yeah.
The GOAT means that there's only one GOAT.
Right. There's only one
GOAT means that there's multiple GOATs.
Yeah.
What is
you can't be the greatest if there's somebody else as great as you, right?
Oh my God, man.
But for me, I'm sitting there going, scapegoat. So he screwed up. The other guy screwed up and he's a scapegoat. Well, you know, you're throwing out all those terminology, and I feel like turning around and like writing numbers on the board. I don't know. I just saw the movie The Accountant. He was writing all this, and as you say, quadrilogical. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's 3.2 minus the acceleration of 5.9182. And
these are all things that are all measurable now. You got technology, we got 3D motion capture, we got free swing data, post contact data, spin rates on exit velocity, launch angles, gas speed, acceleration rate, stride angle, stride distance. We got so much we're doing that there's the science and then there's the art. I believe that we owe it to our kids to know the science, and the creativity that we have in the art form of teaching, the art form of hitting, the creativity that we have to blend that with the science so that we don't get kids hurt, especially in pitching, because they got Tommy John surgeries younger and younger and younger.
Yes.
And now people are having Tommy John surgery that are not even pitching.
Oh yeah. They just did it for a first baseman that was a catcher. It's getting to the point where if you're a pitching coach, you need to also get insurance, because if you get a kid hurt, you will be getting sued. Know your stuff. Don't just be out there giving people pointers on pitching. And this is the lawsuit era. This is the era of the lawsuit. Yeah. Yeah. So now here's one thing. We talked about arm angle and hip rotations and all this stuff. Yeah. Here's one thing that they still been able to measure. Heart. Can't measure heart. I can see it. He doesn't have heart.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So here's what. So first of all, the NFL Combine is different. Let's put that over here. Those dudes at the NFL Combine already got heart.
Yeah.
We're measuring their measurables and adding that to the fact that they have heart.
Okay.
But when you start going down and doing combines for 16-year-olds, they haven't even gone through nothing yet, because that's how hearts develop.
Yeah.
Hearts only develop by adversity and your experiences. That's it.
Right.
You can't teach heart. Heart will be taught to you, and hopefully you made it through whatever you went through to come out and say, I got heart now, let's go.
Baptism through fire.
Yeah.
That was one of my Rocky lines. He goes, you're going to get taught baptism through fire.
Because that's baptism under fire.
You got to have a fire baptism. You have to.
Yes.
And hopefully it's not too damaging, where you have these things that linger in your emotions in your brain. If you look at a team like for example, like Oklahoma softball, Patty Gasso has the ability to recruit mindset. Not only does she recruit talent, she recruits mindset / heart. That's it. People are bringing in people to try to Motivationally speak to the kids. Talk positive to yourself. I don't care how hard positive you talk to yourself. If you don't believe it, you ain't got it. You can't even, like you said, you can't even quantify that. I think we can identify it, but it's hard. Like I'm like, yo, you got to dig deep. If you don't,
Yeah.
you're only gonna be able to go but so far.
And there's only so much natural ability it's going to take you if you don't have that heart. So let me ask you a question as far as a hitting coach. What philosophy are you got? Are you a sit back and relax and wait for your pitch guy, or are you aggressive, taking a swing at that first pitch? How does that work?
Everybody's different. Every pitcher is different. Every umpire is different. And at different times in the game where we're more aggressive and less patient. What's the score? Is it early in the game? How many people are on base? Is this kid hot or not? Like, there's no, this is it. I'm always first pitch. Well, what's the score? Are we down by one? We have to look at, we got to have a really high baseball IQ to really understand strategy and approach.
Okay, I like it. You're a chess guy. I can see.
Because
When
it
I
is.
ask you,
It's chess and it's poker.
it's chess and chess and poker. I never heard of that one. I always equated baseball to a chess game. Listen, man. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with the complete game?
I think the number one way people get in touch with me now is probably through social media.
Okay.
And that would be at Complete Game on most channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Emails good too. info@complete.game. Give me a follow, drop a little note. If I'm not located where you at, set something up and I'll come.
Okay.
My home training facilities are New York Tri-State and South Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got my brother lives up in the Teaneck area there. So
Yeah, I know T-Net.
yeah, Teaneck. And I'm down in Florida. So if you ever get down to the Sunshine State,
I'm gonna look you up.
let me know. Look me up and maybe we can get together.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure. Definitely.
right,
I
well-
appreciate you having me on the show.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you on, and that's why I don't do questions like this.
Yeah, you're just having a conversation. That's what I'm supposed to
Great
do.
conversation. Great conversation.
Mhm.
Guys, this is Rob Cruz, and I tell you, the guy knows his stuff. If you want to follow him online, go ahead and do it. A lot of stuff that, hell, I've been playing baseball all my life. A lot of stuff that I learned watching some of his stuff. And we both New York guys. We both little tough there, a little rigid, but we know what we're talking about, and we get it done. Now I gotta tell you, Rob. I always tell everybody all the time. I say, "Where you from?" They say, "From New York." I said, "Okay, where from in New York?" They say, "Oh, over here and over there." I said, "Well, anything past Yonkers, you're not from New York." And the only reason Yonkers is involved in New York because of DMX. But after that,
True. Well, DMX, the Locks, Mary J.
yeah. There was
That's
one
right.
guy, he told me, he said, "I'm from Buffalo." I said, "Man, you might as well be Canadian. Get out of here, man."
South Canada, right?
South Canada. All right, buddy. Well, thank you for being on. I appreciate
Thanks for having me
it.
on, man.
Yeah, man. Anybody that wants information on Rob, it'll be down in the description. We got some merch going out there. And as we always say on Who's On First, keep swinging.
If you like the show, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Right. You see it? It's right there. Subscribe, share, like, and don't forget, put that bell on. It'll ding you when I put something else on, all right?